Hi there, thank you for your time. Today we are going to go on with our discussion from the anthology of A Silent Song and Other Stories. The story that we are going to do an analysis today is very interesting. The story is called The Truly Married Woman. This is a story that is written by Abioseh Nicol from Sierra Leone. In this story, we have two main characters. We have Ajay and Ayo. Ajay and Ayo have been living together for the last 12 years. The irony of it is that they are not legally married. Oftentimes, Ajay has always tried to explain who Ayo is to him. He tells his friend that Ayo is his wife, not really a wife, but a mistress. This is interesting. At first, when they started living together, he had promised Ayo that he would marry her once he had a first child, but he doesn't. And this makes them to be quite uncomfortable as a couple. In church, the priest has always been reminding and condemning couples that stay together but are not truly or legally married. We also told in the story that at some point, Ajay had expressed interest to work with some missionaries. One day, these missionaries dropped by his hometown on their way to India, and they go to his office and request if they can talk to him. When Ajay comes to meet them, he's quite surprised because he had not expected him. This is something that he had just filmed in a magazine and forgotten about it. While while they were seated and going on with their discussion, he invites them to go to his home so that they can share some cold drinks. He tells one of the clerks to go and inform his wife about the impending visitors. It is quite interesting because when the clerk goes to meet Ayo, Ayo very quickly rearranges the house. She takes down photos that were previously there. We are told in the story these are photos of women that had dressed lightly. She takes them down and hides them, and in their place, she replaces them with family photos. Apart from that, she goes to her neighbor who is called Omo and borrows a wedding ring that she wears. When the missionaries come, they see this as a perfect family and they take a photo. And this photo is what makes Ajay decide to marry Ayo. Because, according to him, the missionaries, once they get back to Minnesota in the USA, they are going to share with thousands or millions of Americans. And from the photo, what people will see is a perfect family. But the truth is, Ayo and Ajay are not legally married. That night after the missionaries' visit, Ajay tells Ayo that he's now ready to marry her. Ayo is quite taken aback because this is something that she had previously raised concern about. But each time she talks to Ajay, Ajay had always dismissed her. And because of that, she had lost interest. So this night, when he talks about the intention of marrying her, she tells him that it is okay as long as he doesn't say that she forced him to do that. When Ayo's father hears about this good news, he makes Ayo to move back to their family home, and Ayo's children are taken to her married sister so that the marriage preparation can go on. Ajay sends his uncle and some of his relations to take a Bible to Ayo's father and a ring. They are also accompanied by two young girls that carry a gourd that contains some gifts that are meant for Ayo, so that in future Ayo does not say that Ajay has never given her any gifts. They also settle on a grey wedding dress for Ayo because Ayo already has children. Apart from that, Ajay is also forced to borrow a lot of money so that he can cater for the wedding. The wedding ceremony is conducted, and we are told in the story that we only have 60 people in attendance. After the ceremony, they cut a wedding cake and later on interact with their various relations. After the interaction, they go back to their home. The next morning, this is where the story gets interesting. When Ajay wakes up at his usual time, he stretches his hand to get his morning teacup. If I can take you back, for the last 12 years, we are told in the story that Ayo has been waking up at 5 a.m. for the last 12 years. And the reason why she gets up at 5 a.m., she has been getting up at 5 a.m., is to ensure that she prepares a cup of tea for Ajay, her husband. This particular day, she doesn't wake up. And when Ajay wakes up and the cup of tea is not there, he turns and looks at his wife. Ayo is asleep. He wakes her up. Maybe he thinks that she's sick or she's tired from the previous wedding ceremony. But when he wakes up Ayo asks him if he is okay, and Ajay is taken aback. Ayo reminds him that for the last 12 years she has been waking up very early just to do the same routine. She reminds Ajay that she is now a wife and not a mistress or a lover, and therefore she deserves some respect. For the first time, she is a happy woman, and the reason is because she is truly married. She is so happy, she is confident, she is courageous, and she tells Ajay to go and prepare a cup of tea for himself. This story is quite interesting and captivating, and I would recommend that you read it. In our next video, we are going to look at the themes that are brought out in this story. Thank you and goodbye.